Hey, welcome back to the new show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gix, and I am here to give you the lowdown on what's happening in the world around you, from general news and beyond. Now today we're speaking about the fact that Italy is to allow travel to and from abroad from the 3rd of June this year. Now, Italy's government on Saturday approved a decree which will allow travel to and from abroad from the 3rd of June in a major development as it moves to unwind one of the world's most rigid coronavirus lockdowns. The government will allow free travel across the country from that same day. Some regions had pushed for a swifter rollback, but the Prime Minister has insisted on gradual return to normal to prevent a second wave of infection. So that is what we're going to be speaking about. The fact that Italy is opening up, but not fully. They're not really opening up fully. So we're going to go through the statement, a few parts of the statement. We're going to look at the key aspects of the statements and the whole ban and everything. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be speaking about. It's going to be quite interesting. An interesting fact though, the main reason that they're doing this is because of tourism, and tourism plays 13% of the industry that makes up the gross total domestic product of Italy. So obviously the whole thing behind this is to boost the economy, and you've heard it in the political show, you've heard it on the Situation Room, you've heard me speak about it earlier as well. But the thing with the coronavirus and the thing with the lockdowns and everything is that it's going to affect the different countries economically, and it's not going to be good. It's going to be really bad. So a lot of countries now are actually focusing on building up the economy and all of these things. So that is what Italy is doing this time round. So that is what we're going to be speaking about. Remember, this is the new show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better.
I love Active FM.
Christ music is hot music.
Our music at Active FM is lit.
Going up like a mansion. I ain't got no reason.
Tell the people,
Everybody on the dance floor now. Christ is the one we lift our hands for now.
You're tuned in to Active FM.
In a bid to revive the country's hard-hit tourism industry before the summer holiday, Italy announced on Saturday it will allow travel in and out the country starting on the 3rd of June. Now, 13% is how much the travel industry makes up of Italy's total gross domestic product. Now, I'm going to read to you an extract from the press release from the Council of Ministers that was released on the 16th of May, and I'm reading exactly what was released. So this is not anything that I added. This is not, anything that news reports changed or whatever. This is exactly what I had to actually I found this in Italian, and I had to Google translate it because I wanted the actual truth and stuff, because we actually find that a lot of media actually changes things. So I had to find the actual press release to read it out to you guys, and this is what they say. Now, the Council of Ministers met on the 15th of May, which was Friday, at 1 p.m. at Palazzo Chigi under the chairmanship of President Conte, Secretary to the Undersecretary to the Presidency. Now, it's entitled COVID-19 Urgent Measures to Address the Epidemiological Emergency. The Council of Ministers, on a proposal from President Giuseppe Conte and Minister of Health Roberto Speranza, approved a decree law that introduces further urgent measures to deal with the epidemiological emergency from COVID-19. The decree outlines the national regulatory framework with which, from 18 May to 31st July 2020, with specific decrees or ordinances, state and regional or municipal, the movement of natural persons and the methods of carrying out economic activities may be governed, productive, and social. Now, if you look at the shifts, as of 18 May 2020, the movement of people within the territory of the same region will not be subject to any limitations. the states or the regions, according to the provisions of the decree law on the 25th March 2020, number 19. Now, if you look at the shifts, as of 18 May 2020, the movements of people within the territory of the same region will not be subject to any limitations. The states or the regions, according to the provisions of the decree law that was released on the 25th of March 2020, number 19, may adopt or reiterate restrictive measures of circulation within the regional territory in relation to specific areas affected by a particular aggravation of the epidemiological situation. Until the 2nd of June, travel within public and private means of transport in a region different from that in which you are currently located, as well as those to and from abroad is prohibited, except for proven work needs of absolute urgency or for health reasons. In any case, the return to one's home, home or residence is allowed. So now what that whole thing is saying is that the restrictions that were the law that was placed on the 25th of March is still in effect until the 2nd of June this year. Now, starting on the 3rd of June 2020, travel between different regions can only be limited by state measures adopted pursuant to Article 2 of the Decree Law of March 21st, 2020, number 19, in relation to specific areas of the national territory, according to principles of adequacy and proportionality to the epidemiological risk actually present in these areas. These rules will also apply to travel to and from abroad, which may be limited only by state measures, also in relation to specific states and territories. So what they're saying is from the 3rd of June, they will open up travel to specific places though. So if a specific state doesn't allow you to travel there, then you do not travel there and stuff. Now, according to principles and adequacy and proportionality to the epidemiological risk, in compliance with the constraints deriving from the regulation of the European Union and international obligation. However, travel between Vatican City or the Republic of San Marino and neighboring regions will be allowed. The ban on mobility from one's home or dwelling for persons subjected to the quarantine measures by provision of health authority is confirmed as they are positive for COVID-19 virus. Up to the ascertainment of recovery or hospitalization in a health facility or intended purpose structure, the precautionary quarantine is applied by provision of the health authorities to subjects who have had close contacts with confirmed cases of subjects positive to the COVID-19 virus, and to other subjects indicated with the measures adopted pursuant to Article 2 of the Decree Law number 19 of 2020. It is forbidden to gather people in public places or open to the public. Religious functions with the participation of people are carried out in compliance with the protocols signed by the government and the respective confessions containing the appropriate measures to prevent risk of contagion. So what they're basically saying is that the law that was released in March 2020 is not really finished. So there is still stuff that you have to comply with within that law, that the decree law that was released then, but the regulations are lighter basically. And now if you look at the economic, productive and social activities, they say starting from the 18th of May, economic production and social, which is today basically, economic production and social activities must take place in compliance with the contents of protocols or guidelines suitable to prevent or reduce the risk of contagion in the sector of reference or in similar areas, adopted by the regions or by the Conference of Regions and Autonomous autonomous provinces in compliance with the principles contained in the protocols or national guidelines. Now, in the absence of original ones, the protocols or guidelines adopted at the national level apply. The limiting measures of economic and production activities can be adopted in compliance with the principles of adequacy and proportionality with state measures issued pursuant to Article 2 of the Law Decree number 19 of 2020, or pending these measures by regions. To ensure that the economic, production and social activities are carried out safely, the regions monitor the trend of the situation within their territories on a daily basis. In relation to this trend, the conditions of adequacy of the regional health system. The monitoring data are communicated daily by the regions to the Ministry of Health, the Higher Institute of Health, and the Technical Scientific Committee. In relation to the trend of the situation in the territory, the individual region informing the Minister of Health can introduce derogatory, expansionary and restrictive measures compared to those prepared at the state level. And that's just basically the first two paragraphs of the statement that was released, and you can go and find it. I know I went on to the Jerusalem Post, and from the Jerusalem Post there was a link that led me to the statement and stuff like that, but it's obviously in Italian, so you'll have to Google translate it. Or what I will do is I will add a link onto my personal Instagram page, so it's Cynthia_Gigs, and Gigs is spelled Giks, or you can also find it on the Instagram page for Active FM, where you can actually go read through the entire statement that was released on Saturday. Now, if we look at the key factors are that the move lifts one of Europe's earliest and most restrictive travel bans and paves the way for tourists to spend summer vacations in the country, meaning that there'll be a boost in their economy as well. It won't be major. They probably won't make as much as they used to make before, but then there at least will be movement within the economy. The announcement did not specify whether the measure only applies to travelers from European Union, since the EU recommends external borders remain closed to foreign nationals until at least 15th June. So we're not sure whether or not it doesn't really specify whether or not people, for instance, if I want to go to Italy, can go to Italy, or it's only within the EU borders and stuff. Another key factor is that the decree also permits Italians to travel within the country, easing lockdown measures from March that prevented residents from moving outside their region. So people will be happy to meet their neighbors that they met on the balcony or heard about whatever and stuff like that, because there's an ease down on the lockdown measures. And then another key factor is that the US State Department still advises citizens to avoid all international travel, and I would kind of advise the same thing. So they can travel within the country and stuff like that, but not like now go from Italy to South Africa. I mean, that's why we had our first case anyway, because we had people who traveled from Italy back to South Africa and brought the virus to us. Anyways, I have no hard feelings towards Italy. I love Italy. One of my closest friends loves Italy, and I will also love Italy for that. So so the US State Department still advises citizens to avoid all international travel, and the Italian embassy in Washington DC did not immediately respond to questions from Forbes asking whether Americans or tourists from outside the EU will be allowed to travel to Italy on the 3rd of June. So there's still a little bit of uncertainty within these travel bans that are being lifted and all of these things. So we don't really know whether it's only within the country or people from international airports and whatever can also travel to the country. Now, if we look at the key background, the EU is urging countries to open up internal borders, allowing non-essential travel between European nations before opening external ones. Germany, for example, opening its borders with France, Austria and Switzerland on the 15th of June, creating a sort of travel bubble for the summer months. The Baltic countries of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania too are reopening borders to one another. Now, if you look at the news peg, Italy experienced one of the earliest and most severe outbreaks in Europe. And everyone was speaking about Italy. Italy had the worst. Beginning of the year, Italy had the worst outbreak in Europe. But the country has made progress in the recent weeks. Only 1,000 new COVID-19 cases are being reported daily, compared to 6,000 at the peak of the outbreak in March. According to the Washington Post, bars, restaurants, shops, hairdressers, and religious services will be able to open today, basically, while other economic activities will be allowed to resume on the 3rd of June, provided businesses follow social distancing and disinfecting guidelines. And that is the important thing. Yes, you can there's bans that need to be taken. The lockdown could be important in some cases and things like that, but you can't stay in lockdown forever. There needs to be a flow of money within the economy so that the country can survive, because people won't die of COVID-19. You'll find that people are not dying of the virus, but now people are dying, for instance, in South Africa, of starvation. Prices are going to start going up because of the recession that we might find ourselves in, and all of these things. And for a country to open up is awesome. It means that they will not face a major economic breakdown as most countries will. And for the fact that they're opening up their religious services, meaning that they'll be opening up churches and all of these things, is amazing. That is something that we are fighting here in South Africa. We want our churches to open, because if they can allow schools to go back, why not allow churches to go back? And in moments like these, in times like this, it is the church that can step in and help where the government cannot help, and reach people that the government cannot reach, and stuff like that. I mean, in South Africa, if you look at most of the initiatives that are giving out food and all of these things, and they're not being spoken about and stuff, are actually churches. They are out there giving out food. They are out there helping within the communities and stuff like that. So it would be awesome if they could open up the churches for us. I mean, that is all we ask. I'm just joking, but yeah. So Italy is doing something cool. I mean, we've seen from Sweden. Sweden had no lockdown. They just told people to keep social distancing if they wanted to. They obviously had to disinfect and all of these things. And Sweden is actually doing quite well. Now with Italy, yes, they're taking measures to prevent them from having another outbreak, but they're easing out on the lockdown regulations so that there is more monetary flow within the economy. And that is what we have for this segment. Like I said, I am your girl Cynthia, but you know you can call me Gigs, and this is the new show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better.
Live right here on Active FM, we bring to you the Active Worship Inception album.
The joy of the Lord is my strength. I rejoice at your word, unfading. I feel set free instantaneously. I find myself in the presence of the cross. Let my life be defined by your endless victory.
You can stream the album on Spotify and Apple iTunes. If you're interested in downloading the album, well, contact us for more info.
So we're speaking about the fact that Italy is allowed to travel to and from abroad from the 3rd of June. It's been quite an interesting topic, and it's awesome to know that they're actually opening up ways that they can get monetary flows within the economy, because it's going to be summer there, and during the summer holidays and stuff like that, they have a lot of tourists and stuff, and because of that, the economy is not going to suffer as much as most of our economies are going to suffer. Now remember that you can catch us on our different platforms. We're on Instagram at ActiveFM777, we're on Facebook /ActiveFM, and we're on Twitter at ActiveFM. And check out our awesome website if you want to download our shows. It's www.activefm.co.za. We're on Google Podcasts and we're on Apple Podcasts, and you can also catch us on YouTube. Just search for ActiveFM and you'll find us there. And yes, we're on Spotify, and we're also on TikTok with amazing challenges and funny stuff. So get downloading, get chatting, let us know what your thoughts are. And remember, I will share a link on my Instagram page, which is Cynthia_Gigs, or you'll also find it on the ActiveFM page at ActiveFM777 on Instagram, where you can actually go through and read the statements by the Council of Ministers from Italy. Remember, I'm your girl Cynthia, but you can call me Gigs, and this is the new show right here on Active FM, where radio has never been better.
Active FM, radio has never been better.